free at last. No, no, I'm just kidding. He ain't free at all. Remember we had an episode the other day talking about whether or not Diddy was going to get bail, and y'all were like, he ain't gonna get it. And I was like, well, we're not saying he will, and we're not saying he won't. It's just weird that the judge was taking this long. Well, the judge came back. You ain't getting no bond. You ain't getting no bail. You're staying right there. Don't worry about it. My question now is why it took so long. We thought maybe he was deliberating some stuff, but none of the things that he put in this so-called decision seemed to include a whole lot of thinking. Let's put it like that. From what we could read, it didn't seem like anything different had transpired. No different information had been brought forward. There had been no groundbreaking information that they could see that said, oh, all of a sudden the judge was like, hold on. This is a lot of information to process. All of a sudden, we're going to have to wait a few days to make my decision. But you know what happened in that interim? What happened during that time? Can anyone guess? I remember Diddy's asking for bail. The break happened, and somebody quit. All of a sudden, you go from give me bail, I'm gonna wait to find out. Lead guy quits, bail denied. This episode will be questions only. This episode's me, we don't got no answers for what happened, but maybe y'all do. Maybe people out there have the answers to what we are beckoning. Here's a question. Why that series of events took place? Can anybody tell me how in the world can we look at this case and think everything's kosher above board? Hear me out. You got denied bail the first time. You came back with a second appeal, and the appeal wasn't much different than the first. The second time you appealed, and all of a sudden the judge says, I need to deliberate some stuff, and he leaves a couple of days, and then all of a sudden, in that time frame, the one that brought the charges quits and says, I don't want to have to deal with this. You come back out saying, no, we're not going to drop any, we're not going to have any bail for you. Stay in the jail. You're fine to go. And now we don't hear nothing again at all about it. I mean, we have a lot of whistleblowers. I get that. Tons of people who know stuff say they have stuff. Some people lying about have stuff. People lying about knowing stuff. We get it. But that series of events right there gave us a little bit of pause. A little bit. Just a little. Here's why. We already had our speculation about the DA, right? Attorney, sorry, the lead attorney. We already had our speculations about him when he announced his stuff. But the timing, everything about timing seems a little bit suspect. Now, I'm not going to go down the whole rabbit trail of what it could possibly be, because that is like an entire family tree of tributaries that you can go up and down and figure out, and maybe perhaps in the what ifs could it be. They're endless. But what we do want to point out is this. They consider him enough of a flight risk or enough of a problem to not issue him bond, regardless of how much he wants to pay. Okay, that's one. They had to deliberate. That's two. And three, they decided against it. My question to everybody is this. What was he deliberating? What could you have possibly been deliberating now that we have the documentation that shows nothing had changed? The only thing I can think of is this. There was some kind of conversation that happened between that judge and the prosecuting attorney that caused the person to quit and for no bond to be issued. What that conversation was, no clue. But it seems awful a lot like something was transpiring between the two of them with regards to Diddy about what should be the next move, both on the political front and on the social front. I don't know that it had anything to do with the case because the case information has not changed. So there, you can't go back and say, well, maybe they found this out and they would have put that in the report. They did not. And I get that maybe they're trying to hide information so that no one can say that the court of public opinion can influence the case. I think it's long past public consumption to change the results because there's so much info out there, whether it was leaked intentionally or unintentionally, that the court of public opinion at this point, if we were to go to court today, the judge would just have to walk in and say guilty because of how much info is out there. So don't give me that about, or they're trying not to make sure they taint the public pool. That's off the table as a reason altogether right now. The only option I can think of that makes this thing happen the way it happened was somebody was trying to make sure they got their ducks in a row for when this thing hits the fan and Diddy either is gone or some names start to drop that they don't want themselves linked to. Like I said, it's a very big rabbit hole because there are multiple rabbits living down there. Now, some of them may not be rabbits after all. Some of them might be gophers. I don't know, but there are tons of animals in this hole. It don't make sense. Now, personally, I'm glad he didn't get the bond. Why? Because a point needs to be made. However, the reasoning behind it has to also be found out. It just does. Why? You shouldn't worry about that. It ain't your case. It ain't your life. And blah 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 blah. You know that been in the whole time that people have been operating on this globe, everybody's lives affects the other person's lives in some way, shape, and form, right? Especially when you're a large name or a big influencing name. Do you understand that a lot of that influences your home, whether you want to admit it or not? What that person does on the outside comes to your home eventually because they're a public figure, not just any public figure. Diddy's not just any public figure. He's a big, big one. And in a genre where many of the youth are gravitating to. So don't come here saying, "No, it's not an issue." It is definitely our issue, and we do want to see more people like him no longer able to influence the people that we love. So by that proxy alone, we have all rights to speak on this. Now, the conspiracy side is a whole nother case. We do need to talk about it because, heck, who doesn't love a good conspiracy theory? A lot of it ain't conspiracy. Quite a few of it is actually written down testimony and fact. This is why Diddy didn't get his bond. The bigger question isn't why he didn't get his bond. The bigger question is the sequence that caused him not to get bond. What did that attorney know, didn't see coming, knows what's coming, doesn't want to be linked to it? Does the judge know something? Are they trying to avoid bond because they think that, oh, he will never get out? Or are they trying to avoid bond because they know something's coming down the pike that'll get him free anyway? So much speculation and so many questions, which is why I told you at the very beginning, this is not us trying to tell you what's happening. This is us asking you, what do you think is happening? Leave your speculations for us to read because I'm guaranteed it'll make a great book. If y'all just start telling us what you think this all meant, specifically around the timing, okay? I want to hear your input about the time frames. Does it make sense to you that this particular sequence of events took place? Does it seem fishy? Does it make sense to you? Do you think that, well, not seems reasonable to me? He just doesn't want his name attached to this. Whatever your thoughts are about this particular scenario, we already had a live discussion about the bail side of it. But I do want to hear your thoughts about him not getting it and what do you think it means? I would love to hear from you. Too Strong is here waiting. Just, well, man, we've been on pins and needles hoping that somebody will jump up and say, we know why. And if you do, reach out to us. We're more than willing to hear. But for now, please leave your comments below.